All right, Daniel, and you'll keep me track of time then.
Yeah,
I
12
will.
and a half minutes.
Perfect. So I'm going to talk about a project that was recently completed with myself and Chris Clanahan, who worked on this with me. And it is about community visions and looking at community visions from the past 20 years. Specifically, what we looked at was community visions that were labeled Vision 2020. And I'll talk a little bit about why on that in a second. We did an evaluation and review of these community plans, these community visions, as a reflection to see their successes, their barriers, their how they were perceived in terms of working, and essentially. And we took a varied sample from across the U.S. and discussed with local community practitioners in the different locations that these plans are being implemented about their thoughts on the matter and reflection on that matter, with the idea that the reflection would help improve and better the visioning process. One of the reasons we did this is, well, frankly, we went up 20 years ago, around the turn of the century, when I was a student in graduate school. Vision 2020 was a really catchy sort of planning document in the US and other places. And it seemed like every other city had named their long range plan a Vision 2020 because it was trendy with its name, because plans of this nature are typically 20-year horizons, but also because Vision 2020 signifies perfect eyesight. And the visioning as a tool had really been emerging in the 90s as kind of a practice tool. So we looked at plans in terms of their perceptions of plans, in terms of their conformance and performance. Performance being success based on its usefulness as a decision-making tool, and conformance comparing a plan's goal to material development, its implementation. The sample that we ended up with was fairly dispersed across the United States. We did stay in the United States. It was fairly dispersed, trying to give a nice variety of geographical locations and contexts. And then speaking with the community planners in each location, started with the question simply why the name Vision 2020. It was confirmed in terms of our thoughts that, it was catchy, it was trendy. There were a lot of people kind of riding this wave. But interestingly, a lot of the communities that have already started to update their plan, or at the time this research was done, started in late fall 2019. So right as these plans were kind of reaching their horizon, many of the communities stayed with the visioning word in terms of Vision 2037 or whatever the next horizon might be. So even though the word 2020 wasn't as much of a play on words, they kept with the vision theme. So what's in a vision? And this is more of the meat of it. Well, talking to the implementers of these plans, some of the quotes that pulled out to share is, we will be a community in which people can learn, work, play, and safety and comfort. We want to be a vibrant community that presents an opportunity for everyone to achieve their full potential. The plan's central purpose is a high quality of life for all people in the community, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. So, really reconfirming what a vision is. It's about the community coming together to collectively aim for a desired future, a desired goal. The next quote, we wrote the document based on public hearings, what we heard, what other people said. They are not our words. They are the words of other people, how they voiced it to us, as we all did. But what we put it down in this booklet, but it's really their words. So it's a collection of community desires, of community words. Were the plans successful? The upshot is yes, but not 100%, right? Not everything in every plan and not every part of every vision was implemented or happened, but it was kind of the general consensus of the professionals that we talked to, the communities, by having a vision, by having a goal, by having aspirations, were better off than had they not gone through that process. Let's looking at the second quote. Sections of the plan has been implemented, but not sure if it's because it's a good plan or motivated individuals. There's also a little bit of a chicken and the egg going on with the idea that, that it was successful because, not just because it was in the plan, but because the community wanted it in the plan, and therefore it gave them an opportunity to move forward on that action. In terms of the biggest gateways and barriers, the most consistent response for success was an emphasis on community involvement. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. The most consistent response for success was the emphasis of community involvement. And I really think that echoes what we've been hearing at the conference this year and what we've heard in past conferences, and the importance of community involvement, and the idea that, going back to, these are not the words of an individual writing this document, right? These are the words of the community that are being collected. And that's very important. And I think justifies a lot of how we already, many of us feel, right? And what the other knowledge that we know, and the other reports that we've listened to. Other justifications for success included cooperation, flexibility, strategic focus, stakeholder participation, and general community support. Again, these are all crux of community development terminology. The biggest miss in the plans were technical issues. Some communities thought they weren't going to grow very much and grew quickly. Others thought they were going to grow quickly and didn't grow very much in terms of demographics. Everyone missed the boat, seems, on technology. The thing that we walk around with every day in our pocket, the cell phone. No one really that was putting the plans together in the late 90s imagined that that was going to be the case. So folks more or less missed that boat. But in hindsight, what we learned from this, and this is the big takeaway, and something that I was quite happy to take away from it. The visioning process is important to community development planning. It was important. The general consensus is that it was helpful, and that the exercise, that the process was important to the outcome. We talk a lot about process and outcome, and we needed the Vision 2020 as an exercise. According to one planner, it is known on everyone's lips, on their tongues. We had to go through the exercise, and maybe we need to do it again, even if we already know what we're going to say. But when you say things that you already know, you have to commit to it. So maybe we need to commit to those statements again and go through the process again, because it gets us recommitted and energizes the room about these visions. I'll stop there, but I will note that if you'd like to read in more detail, this article was published as of June 1. It is available online in Local Development and Society Journal, and it is there as of today for download. And I look forward to any questions at the end of our session, and I will stop now and stop my share.